that leads a life of learning. Every step he takes, his mind is turning. With every book he finds, it opens up his mind. Odds are he will graduate tomorrow. He's a Stanbridge Academy kid, just a Stanbridge Academy kid. They've given you a pencil and they've put you in the game. The Stanbridge Academy kid, I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. And if I fail the test, I guess I'd be the one to blame. Well, well, well. Now the principal walked in and saw me fighting. She called over the kid that I was biting. Teacher looked in with his head and he dropped me straight to red. Odds are I won't be in school tomorrow, 'cause I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. They've given me a pencil and they put me in the game. And I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. And if I fail the test, I guess I'd be the one to blame. Well, well, well. Well, well, well.
Welcome to Different is Normal. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host. And tonight we have two wonderful people. First of all, we have James Warren, who is the guitarist of the world, and Tara Heitman, they're both school counselors from Stanbridge Academy. Welcome.
Thank you.
What a good way to start the show, James. Well, should we start with you or should we start with Tara?
Why don't we start with us all?
Okay. I'm going to start with Tara.
All right.
Tara, not only are you a gorgeous young woman,
Thank you.
but you are a counselor at Stanbridge Academy, and you're really a family and marriage therapist, right? So tell about the fact about the 13,000 hours.
It's 3,000 hours.
I mean, 3,000.
Yes,
Well, I got part of
13,000
it.
would
Yeah,
be,
yeah,
that would be crazy.
yeah.
I don't think either of us
Yeah.
would have done it then. But James and I both have our master's degree in counseling and psychology, and then to get your license as an MFT, as a marriage and family therapist, you have to do 3,000 hours of supervised work. You can do it with a variety of different populations. I've done most of my work with children and families. James has had kind of a more wide range of clients that he's worked with, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of hours. It's taken me about 2 years. I think you've done right around 5. Is that right? Yeah.
So I assume that you're both very dedicated, and you are at a wonderful school, Stanbridge Academy in San Mateo. So what I think is so interesting, because I was able to talk to you both before. It's too bad that we can't televise, as we're talking, because it's so spontaneous. But James, why do you enjoy teaching? And tell us about that with the children.
Well, the reason I like working with children, and especially in this particular environment, is because we have kids from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So we see kids at all stages in life, at all levels. And we have a wide variety of kids, some that are on the autism spectrum, some that are diagnosed as bipolar, and everything you can think of in between. So there's never a dull moment, for one thing. The other thing is that they bring a lot of joy. Kids have a lot of joy. Before I started working with the kids, I had worked for many years in substance abuse and mental health, and with adults. And it's a whole nother scene, and it can be really tough. You can burn out. And I started working with these kids because I needed child hours for my license. And after getting the hours, they offered me a job. And so I left the clinic that I was working at with the substance abusers up in San Rafael and came down to San Mateo and started working with kids full time. And it's just been a great experience, and it continues to be a great experience, you know. I mean, imagine this. One of the kids that I work with in the school is producing this show.
Ted Milkey.
Yeah.
Yay.
Is that amazing?
No, because he's so talented.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And you all must be such good teachers. Right?
Oh, we do what we can.
I know. And tell how you specialize in music with the kids, right?
I wouldn't say I specialize it with, but it's one of the tools that I have in my bag. And it's a very helpful tool because music is the universal language and works with all kinds of people.
Well, tell about the song you sang.
Well, the song I sang, actually, I've been there 3 years. 2 years I was there part-time, and then now I've been full-time this year. We actually wrote this song originally about 2.5 years ago in an upper elementary school class. The kids basically wrote the lyrics. I brought the music. I said, well, let's do a takeoff on this old Secret Agent song.
Yeah.
And they got the lyrics going. We all collaborated on it together. And then we took several classes, because I was just doing a Pragmatics class once a week with this class. And we took several weeks to get it tight and ended up doing it at the talent show that year. And it was a big hit. Now I do an after-school band class with kids that want to come. And I've got them playing their instruments. I've been doing this for all this year, and we did it again, this time with the children playing their instruments. We brought in a drummer, we have a guy that plays clarinet, we had 2 or 3 guitars, and we had 4 singers. So it was really a lot of fun. And you know, the important thing with kids is connection and being able to socialize, especially with our kids, because they have special needs, you know. And so in mainstream society or a mainstream school, they can be left out a lot, or they can be teased. You know, a lot of our kids come to us having been really abused by other kids at school. So for them to come together with whatever it is, whether it's music or art or playing some basketball, anything to get them to socialize, collaborate, and realize that they can do things, like Ted being able to do this. It's fantastic, right? So as these kids are coming up, we want to nurture that in them and let them know, you know, you can do it. You can do this stuff if you want to. So if they can get in a little band, play some music, sing, it's a great tool.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
You asked.
I know. Tara, tell about what you do with the kids.
Well, it really depends on what the child's needs are, but I guess I would specialize more so in behavior therapy. And then I also have a background in art and play therapy. So I've worked with a lot of young children where you can't bring them into a counseling room and have them sit in a chair and tell you about their life story. That's just not going to work with them. So you use the tools that they enjoy. You use art, you use clay or puppets or different tools that can help them work through what they're going through. When they can't just sit and talk about it like an adult might be able to. So I've used a lot of that in the past. And then I guess sort of my specialty would be behaviorism, behavior therapy, really working with kids with problem behaviors, whether it's that they're unable to be successful in the classroom because of tantrums or inability to sit still or inability to focus, things like that. Working with the teachers and the parents and the child to create a really specialized plan for that child to make them as successful as possible.
And you can really actually measure the improvement with these kids?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How do you do that?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I love behavior therapy, is because some therapeutic techniques, it's really difficult to measure things, but with behavior therapy, there's no question. So when I'm working on a behavior plan for a child, I'll go in and observe that child in the classroom. And let's say, for example, the target behavior that we're wanting to reduce is screaming. So I can go in for a couple weeks and literally just mark down how many times that child screams in a normal day. And I'll say, okay, what do I see in the classroom that's going to be most effective in helping to reduce this behavior? We don't want the child to scream anymore. How can we help him or her to not scream? So I find things that I think the child's going to want and use those as rewards. So that child is constantly rewarded for not screaming instead of being punished every time that they do scream. So then we put the behavior plan into place, and then after a certain amount of time, we can go back in and say, okay, at first the child was screaming once every 3 minutes. Now, after 3 months of a behavior plan, they're screaming twice every day. So you can see really measurable data and a reduction of the target behaviors, and that's why I really like behaviorism.
And as James was saying before, that working with adults is so discouraging, right? I mean,
Well, not always.
Especially,
Not always.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Because a lot of our children are they're adults, they're already, some are 18 and 17, and they're fast becoming adults. Mm-hmm. So I have to say that with drug addicts, especially, it can be, and in the particular environment I was in, I was at a methadone clinic where they have to come to counseling. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with people that have to come to counseling is they may or may not want help, but they may be going just to satisfy the demands of the clinic so they can get their methadone. Mm-hmm. And so you look at their UA record, and they've got positive for methamphetamine, positive for benzodiazepines, positive for marijuana, all these drugs, and you go, what's going on here? You're just continuing to use, and they just look at you like, yeah, so what are you going to do?
But with children,
it's a lot different.
It's a lot different, and must be very rewarding.
It is.
A question I have now: the kids that are able to go to your school, they're so fortunate. But what about kids that have problems and there's no way that they could go to that school or a private school? What do you do about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that parents can do in terms of helping their child, whether or not they have special needs. I think just the parents being there is the best way to have effective parenting, to be really involved in their child and in working with their behaviors, and like James said earlier, being connected with them and supporting them, and really positively reinforcing them, letting them know that they're loved and letting them know that they're successful. And
so the parents do play a huge part.
Oh, yeah.
But for some reason, I remember as a kid, God knows a long time ago, but I looked up to my teachers so much. It was like I was going to listen to my teacher easier than my mother or father, right?
A lot of kids do, and that's one of the best parts about Stanbridge is we have wonderful teachers that are so highly effective in working with our students, and they're so flexible and loving, yet really eager to help in their problem behaviors, and really willing to work with the child and meet them where the child is. And our teachers are just really wonderful there, and we're really lucky to
This
have
sounds
them
like a commercial for Stanbridge Academy. But I mean,
if you can't afford private school, if you have a child with special needs, or just a kid that you think is going down the wrong path, because all kids, all adults, all of us have, two paths to choose from, and the choices get made pretty early in life somehow. There are ways to make those choices to help kids make the right choices that are out there for everybody, whether you have money or not, because it's not all about the money. It's not all about the best education. There's also services that are available. There's services, more and more communities are starting to have services available that are aside from the government, because the government is going broke in this state in many ways, and so the schools are losing funding in many areas. And that's not good for people with special needs or people in general. So we got to take care of that. We got to step up. Volunteerism, people got to step up. But if you need services for a child that has special needs or needs medication or something like that, you need to advocate for that child. You need to get out there and advocate. Make sure you're in that child's life, and you're taking them right down there and knocking on that door, because there are services available.
I'm so glad you said that, Jim. How about another number from you?
A number?
Yep.
Why not? Why not? Interestingly enough, this is one that I wrote called What About the Children?
There goes another one. That boy there, he's walking straight into a setting sun. That boy, he's walking in a daydream. Now he thinks his life is oh so keen. I guess I got him selling little bags of speed. Better watch out when he's coming down. There goes a sweet young girl. Ah, baby, pretty baby, now she like to set her head a whirl. Now baby smoked a little cocaine. Guess she like the way it swirls and gets all in her brain. Make her wanna do that hoochie coo again, but watch out when she's coming down. I just said, what about her children? Hey now, pretty mama, little mama, who be holding them, holding them. Well, well, well. I just said, what about your children? Hey now, pretty mama, little mamas, who be holding them, holding them, holding them. Well, well, well. Who's holding yours tonight? And is it wrong or is it right? Is it dark or is it up the light? Who's holding yours tonight?
Bravo.
Thank you.
You wrote that.
Yes, I did.
So you must be very inspired by those kids.
I wrote this song a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wrong question. When did you write it?
I have to say this song I wrote about 14 years ago, something like that.
Tell about how you use the music at the school.
Sure. So initially, I started bringing my guitar to do Pragmatics classes, which were, because I'm not a teacher, I'm a counselor. So, but as a counselor, we do Pragmatics.
What is that?
Pragmatics classes are basically, well, let me let Tara, she's the expert, actually.
Okay.
She has designed our current Pragmatics program, but I pioneered it a couple of years ago when we were first putting it in place. But go ahead and...
Tara, tell.
Well, pragmatics are basically, in general, social skills. So a lot of our kids have struggled with developing the social skills that help them relate to other people. So a really great part of the curriculum at Stanbridge is every kid K through 8 has as part of their weekly curriculum a slot for pragmatics. So we're able to sort of tailor the units that we do in pragmatics to grade level. So the younger kids are getting different things than the junior high kids, for example. So like this year we did a whole unit on bullying. So we talked a lot about bullying behaviors and what constitutes bullying and how it looks in the school setting and what to do about it, and just educating the kids on all of the factors that go into bullying, because it was an issue at school. So we're able to sort of see what's going on in our in the school and use the pragmatics units to target those types of issues. And for the younger kids, it might be things more like creating friendships and how to talk to people and how to introduce yourself and things like that. So they're really beneficial, really real-world skills that the kids will be needing and just might not have developed yet.
And you really did tailor that program.
Yeah. Well, I think what James was saying is this year we moved to sort of a more a better fact-based curriculum, I guess, a more measurable curriculum. Mm-hmm. I know I said that, before that I really like measurable data and things that you can see progress. And so we sort of moved towards that. But what James was saying is they actually wrote, like he said, the Stanbridge Academy Kids song.
When we first started doing Pragmatics a couple years ago, we didn't really know what to do, so we kind of did it off the cuff as we went. And we'd play games with them. We'd play like Password. You remember the old Password game? Well, we still do that sometimes for fun. But we'd bring the guitar in sometimes, write songs, let them write a song. You know, I had a thing called Let's Make a Blues Song, and let the kids make up the lyrics. And what it is a way for kids to work together. And Pragmatics is, you know, just socializing, normal activities of life, which for most of us coming up was an automatic, right? But if you have a kid that has Asperger's, say, they might not think the same way that you think or I think. And it might not be so easy for them to understand how to talk to you or how to interact with you to get something across or get something done. So playing little games, playing a song, making a song together, singing together, things like that, they're awesome for these kids because they have successes and they have interaction with each other and with adults.
Well, all I can say is, what if they had, say, this particular program in every school?
They should.
They should.
Yeah.
But how could, say, you two get that across? You know, how could you advocate that to public schools?
Well, there's a lot of ways you could advocate for that. But the thing is, when you see public schools that are taking away music programs, taking away PE, taking away recess. I heard on NPR the other day that some schools they don't even have time for recess. Okay, then they're not going to have time to instill a pragmatics program in their school. They're taking away all the good stuff for these kids, you know, and that's not fair. I think that's not fair. So it's really a funding issue. The system's got to realize that if you don't fund the kids, public, private, wherever they're at, if you don't give them a good education and a good foundation for life, you're going to have to build more penitentiaries and pretty soon it's not going to even be safe on the street because nobody can work anymore, you know, except the really wealthy. And they won't even want to go to work if everybody else is either in the penitentiary or on the street. But don't let me start.
No. We'll do another show about that.
We'll do another show about that.
We're practically at the end of the show, and my final question is, I'm going to start with Tara. What is the most joyous thing for you in the school? What you do?
I mean, it has to be the kids. Yeah. It's just, and working with kids is a joyous profession. I mean, you can't work with kids and not feel joy, in my opinion. Just being able to be there and to play with them and to see them be able to bounce back. You know, kids are so resilient and they're so malleable. To be able to see them have a hard day and come back from it and do really well the next day or even that same day. And it's really a hopeful place to be when you work with kids.
Fabulous. How about you, James?
Well, for me, it's the humor that happens with these kids. You know, sometimes they just crack me up, and I love it. You know, whether they're trying to be funny or not, they have just these wide open, innocent faces a lot of the time, and they'll say something that's hilarious. Like here's an example. I was substitute teaching in one class one day, and all the kids were reading their books. All of a sudden, one of the little guys raised his hand. I said, "Yeah, Cameron, what's up?" He goes, "You know, James, I think you might be going bald." I said, "That's not." Well, of course, I had to keep a straight face. I said, "That's not a very nice thing to say." And then the next day, for the joy end of it, he came up to me in the morning, and his teacher must have said something because he came up and said, "I'm sorry," and gave me a big hug. You know, this little guy, and that's really touching. You know, it just is. It's just really touching to have that kind of interaction with these kids.
Well, all I can say, it's been such a joy for me to interview both of you, and it's just so great when you have guests that are passionate. I always use that word, but I can't think of another. And I also want to say how lucky Stanbridge Academy is to have you two as their counselors, and I thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to end with a song, and I want to wish you both joy And our little gorgeous girl is getting married in September, and she's a hot golfer. And James has a whole bunch of lady friends, so what else is there?
You know,
Okay?
Nike actually offered me a contract. My golf game is so bad that they're going to pay me not to wear their equipment.
And I want to
couldn't help
thank
it.
our crew. We have such a good crew, right?
Yes.
Headed by Ted Milkey, producer. And I want to thank our audience for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you so much.
There's a kid that leads a life of learning. Every step they take, their mind is turning. With every book they find, it opens up their mind. Odds are they will graduate tomorrow. 'Cause I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. They've given me a pencil and they put me in the game. And I'm a Stanbridge Academy kid. I'm a Stanbridge